What's good, y'all? What's good, Real Talk Squad? This is Miles, and you're listening to Real Talk of Miles Johnson, where I always keep it real. Now, we got a special episode today, World Cup episode. I already know I had to have the guys on. First off, introducing my man, Malachi Johnson. Now, this is a
Uh,
guy I knew since I was like 6 years old, probably the first person I met, came to Philly, played Chestnut Hill intramural soccer together. I think Chestnut Hill did a lot of soccer together over these past years and all that. Welcome to the show, my man.
what's going on? It's great to be here.
For sure, for sure. And lastly, I got my man D Slime this John.
Yes,
My
sir.
man, I met Morehouse brother. He gonna be coming out and back to Morehouse next semester. But welcome to the show.
Appreciate it, bro. I'm not gonna lie, it feels great to be here.
No, for sure. I know you was definitely like bugging me. Like I don't even say bugging me, but you was definitely pressing me. Like, yo, I'm trying to go on an
Yeah, like
episode. And then,
let's
and
get
then,
it
then the
done,
other
bro.
day you were
What else
like,
could we?
the
If we
other day
gonna
you
talk
was
sports,
like,
let's talk real sports. Let's talk real talk. You feel me?
Facts.
say
Let's
no
do it.
more. I know the other day you hit me when Argentina lost. You was like, ain't no episode coming out. You got
Yeah,
Argentina
I'm
lost
locked in,
already.
bro. You feel me? I'm subscribed. I
My man,
already
no, I
know.
didn't even know he knew his soccer. I knew Malachi did.
Yeah,
I didn't know
I've been
D
in there,
did.
especially with the MLS stuff too. Like, yo, he's sleeping on the Union. You're talking about
Yeah,
Philly sports right
I
now. We're in the
know,
I'm
I
championship.
on it. I'm
know,
on it.
What's
I
going
know. We gonna
on?
Gareth Bale. Well, speaking of Gareth Bale, you gotta talk about USA and their opening game against Wales when they drew 1-1. Now, Malachi, I'll go to you first. Like, what was your thoughts when USA drew 1-1 to Wales, giving up a late penalty to Gareth Bale?
So the first thing I want to say about that fixture is the fact that looking at the group stages, my first immediate thoughts was that this was our most important game of our group stages. Everyone's gonna look at the England USA, but realistically speaking, this is the other team that's just as good as we are. So like beating them determines whether or not we're gonna go on the upper half of that table or not. And it could have gone either way for sure. So I'm not mad at the draw and I'm not mad at the performance at all because, like, arguably we were winning about 60% of that game. It's just the second later half of that. Had that penalty not happened, I don't think they would have ever scored that. But I think that shout out to one Tyler Adams. I think he was everywhere. That was amazing by him. I think that the 35-year-old center back was a Tim Ream put on a amazing performance, and people are a little skeptical about that because they have a bunch of young players and like 35-year-old playing against in the World Cup is always going to be like a type of thing. But he put on a show, and Matt Turner did his thing as well. So I'm not upset about the squad at all, and I'm not upset about the result. However, I think now what it comes down to after we have played our most important game is who can put away Iran safer and who can last out against England. And I honestly give us the edge when it comes to that come Friday. Um, Not that Wales has any lesser defensive squad. Because to be fair, if we're being honest, like they want to be in the World Cup just about as we do. I mean, this is their first World Cup appearance in what 64 years. So I think that that game was just two teams going guns blazing at each other. USA is young, fiery eyed. They have a lot to prove, a lot of hype going around, a lot of European transfers going on. Like we want to show that we can play at an international level, and Wales just wants to be known. They want to be here, and they show that they are here. And then we have a leader in Gareth Bale, put it out of the way. Like that's evident in the World Cup. You'll see one star player carry the momentum of the whole entire country with them, and it's crazy. So
Facts, facts.
that's my overall takeaway from it. I thought that going in, this was definitely like the USA England game is hype for us, obviously, because like now we get to show what we can, spar against, a really class country. But this was our chance to go on top of the table and make it further in the tournament. And 1-1's not bad, but a win would have definitely solidified that for us.
I'll say something first before I pass it off to D. I was crushed after I seen the US draw. It felt like a loss to me.
Yeah,
Said it's like England, I'm not expecting us to get. They put up 6 against Iran, looking real good.
Right.
Especially their young players as well. Soccer in there got 2 goals. So I'm not really expecting us to definitely not get a win against England, but I'm not really expecting us to get points from that. So that Wales game, that was our chance to get those 3 points. And in the World Cup, you can't give up points because it could end up being 1 point. Even a goal differential that can be the difference, the deciding factor in whether or not your country gets to the knockout stages. So I think that this was a blow. Now moving forward, we have to it definitely beat Iran. Like if we don't beat Iran, like it's over. If
Absolutely.
we can still lose, we can lose to England, but like we can't get like smacked like how like Iran did like 6-2. Like it has if we lose like 1-0, all right, that's fine, I guess. But then it's better then because then it's like, okay, if we have goal differential between us and Wales, we can end up, getting that advantage. But I think later on in the game, like USA was just like they weren't fit. Like come later down in the game, they got tired. And when you get tired as somebody that plays soccer, you know,
100%.
you make bad challenges because
Right.
you're tired. And that was a terrible challenge. I forget the center back's name who fouled Gareth Bale, but when you're tired, that's when you dive in. You make lazy decisions. But that comes to fitness. So maybe that was their first, I got the jitters out, in terms of World Cup opener, finally getting like their feet wet. But gotta finish the same games up until the end. Same way
100%.
how you start them. If you defended for an extra 10 plus minutes, you would be winning. You would have won 1-0. Now we're top of the table along with England. So it's like those little details that can really like determine whether or not a team advances to the knockout rounds, wins the World Cup, or just flat out progresses. But D, what you guys say about USA's draw and how it
Okay.
affects their World Cup chances?
All right. So one thing I definitely noticed is basically like one thing I don't like about this US team is their physicality. I just feel as if they don't play physical enough. And as you guys said, I mean, Turner played a great game. Leia's goal was very clutch. I just don't like the decisions that are made when it comes to defense on this team. So, although we have our veterans that are going to contribute, we have our young runners that are going to do what they have to do and be active along on the field, basically. We don't have that physicality that these other European teams have. And then when you play a team like Wales, that is basically known for soccer, but not as high key as a team like England or Spain or France or Italy, for example, it becomes rough because now it's like if we can't compete with their physicality, how are we going to be able to compete with the physicality of these experienced teams also like who also have veterans? So my issue is I feel like the US played a great game. Coming to that last half, especially within that last, I want to say from 75 minutes until the end of the game, I noticed that that penalty really sacrificed it all. Once Gareth Bale made that penalty kick, it was like their hope was just gone. Even though there was time still on the clock, they just didn't do enough as far as getting up the field, making smart passes, making smart decisions, shooting smart shots. So what I think Team USA has to do in order to be successful within the World Cup is just make smart decisions and also don't be afraid to be physical, especially with a leader like Pulisic. Like you guys have to realize, like we have a leader like Gareth Bale in Wales. The way that Gareth Bale carries his team is basically through his own confidence, and he also provides that confidence to other people on his team. We need Pulisic to come through and carry that confidence that he has all throughout his team because it's not there at the moment. But other than that, I just feel as if they played a great game. They just need to be a little more physical.
And I think like that was a good point, like the physicality, because like the US, then they don't have the talent that a Spain has, that a France has, Brazil, keep going on and on, Argentina, Portugal. But what they can control is their intensity, their fitness, like how hard they play throughout the entire 90-minute match. And so if that's lacking, then you add already at a disadvantage talent wise because even like a team like Wales, Gareth Bale is a superstar. He might not be the same player he once was, in Tottenham, Real Madrid, and all that. But like Gareth Bale was
Nevertheless,
a superstar, and he has that superstar layer in him. And we don't have that like super duper star on our team. Like a lot, even like the smaller countries, they'll have like that one guy that's like, okay, like that's the
also
like
to feed off
superstar.
that, I think we could use that weakness to our advantage. Being that we don't have one guy, it causes us to have to play team soccer. So
Yeah.
Mm.
there's not like we have a Ronaldo or a Messi and we're relying on one person to score. Even in that game, our best player is Christian, and Christian didn't even score. Our goal came from Leia. So even though it came off an assist from him, it just shows that he has the ability to run our team, but also he has the ability to bring our team together and have us play smarter soccer. So
Oh,
that's
yeah.
I feel like I definitely agree with your statement as far as us not having a superstar, but none of these other countries specifically have superstars that are here and basically like I mean, other than our main headliners, we don't really have a team that's gifted like when it comes to our like footwork or our ball handling or our passing. So if we play team soccer, there's no reason why any other team should be able to stop us, especially being that we're all young and fit.
Yeah,
Do
I'm
y'all?
gonna circle
Oh,
back with everything as well. I'm gonna play like a side devil's advocate as well. I agree with like the take where you don't really need to focus on that superstar stuff because it's the World Cup specifically. I know like a lot of people will be looking at me like, oh, it's a little bit weird, but like take like Senegal for example. Although they lost 2-0, Sadio Mane missing it in the last week before it starts, like really would put people in perspective. Like, all right, Senegal went from a dark horse like nothing. They came out guns blazing yesterday. And then you have smaller countries where you don't know anything about anyone, like Russia in the last World Cup. Nobody knew anyone. They came out firing. You know what I mean? So like, I think what it comes down to is just pride and your team and your country, and like a lot of it comes down to chemistry and like lack of superstardoms. Like builds chemistry. Enough to say, when everyone's on the same pace and like you have to play for the person next to you, great results come out of it. So I have no problem having not being on the same world class talent as teams like England and Spain. I think that the reason why the US played, because like honestly, when I was tuning into it, the first half of the game, I was excited. I was like, this is USA. Like we're moving like this. Like I've never seen this in my life, right? Like, and
mm.
that's exciting because for the first time since I've been a soccer fan, which is my entire life, I'm looking at USA and I'm like, yo, this is an exciting squad, right? Like I'm watching Premier League Sundays and I'm like, yo, this kid, like I'm watching Champions League, Anthony McKennie scoring, like this is crazy, like unbelievable. So I think that we can ride off of that, but I think that to go to the physicality aspect of it, we have a very fit, athletic team. However, it just comes down to that early development stage of like being and like as soccer players, we know that like playing a full game is exhausting. So like being and a lot of that comes with like playing a lot of games and like frankly, like a lot of these people are super young. They haven't played that many games yet. So like I think that maybe not this tournament, hopefully it does, but like maybe out of the group stages they get used to that and realize that they have to keep it going and stay consistent throughout it. But like, you know, being able to stay consistent mentally and physically is a huge aspect, and you don't really see that in players under 24 years old. Christian Pulisic is definitely our best player and our leader, but he's still young as well, and you don't really see many crazy young leaders like that ever. But I have to 100% agree with you on the physicality thing because like I'm not even talking about the physicality of like Spain, France, or Argentina, whatever. Like these countries are no joke, man, and they want to win. And like Wales wasn't that physical yesterday, but like you play a gritty team in the other stages, like they're not gonna make that. It's not gonna be easy for you. So I 1,000% agree with you, and like I think that there has to be a flip that needs to be changed. That needs to be like an aggressive approach to soccer. That's also beautiful. I think they put a very clean, pretty game yesterday. Got tired and it turns a little sloppy, which is how that foul happened. But I think that when you get an angry, fiery, young squad like USA, which is what we want to see, I think we'll be just fine for the most part.
I definitely agree.
And in terms of like how far, well, I'll ask y'all this: how far do you see the U.S. going in the World Cup? D.
My honest, genuine opinion, I'd love to see this team make it to I want to say semifinals. But from the looks of it, I want to say knockout games. Honestly, I don't see them beating any major teams, bro. I mean, you have to realize this entire team is young, and then we have people like Messi in there last year coming off a strong, strong loss to Saudi Arabia. We have teams like Portugal, where Ronaldo is also coming to his last years. These teams are fighting because they want to see their idols win these games and also win these World Cups. So it's almost a matter of like how fast they can get the job done and also like what this team is gonna do to improve themselves as they progress through this World Cup.
How you feel,
I
Malachi?
agree. I agree with the knockout stages. But what I'm going off of, honestly, is this next week. I think that if we look at the Wales game and we should be upset about that because like it was so great until it wasn't. I think that we flip the switch and we're able to. And honestly, the reason why I take our squad over Wales against Iran to put those away is like I like our offensive options. I think we put Iran away, make it to knockout stages, or like from there, like I think we'll be fine. And I think that if we be able to apply that physicality and aggression, we can thug out some hard fought 1-0s against some hard teams. And I definitely see that in knockout stages. Semifinals would be insane. And if you make it the semifinals this World Cup, bro, I'm betting on anything for 2026 in the USA. Are you kidding me? Like
Absolutely.
That's a good
100%.
point. That's a good point because the way the U.S. performs in this World Cup is going to be a great indicator for how they play in 2026. You have
Yeah.
Christian Pulisic, 23 years old, bunch of young guys, Weston McKennie, Sergio Dest. Like you got a lot of guys that's real young, and come 2026, they're gonna have a bigger role in their club teams. That's gonna translate to them, obviously, being more fit, just getting, just developing more in their game. And if we make it to knockout stages, then I'm gonna be expecting us to, at the very least, be a quarterfinals team in 2026. For me personally, I see them. Yeah, best case scenario, if they get bounced out in round 16, I'm cool. If they get bounced around 16, I'm cool. Again, we'll have to see who they all draw and all that. Heck, if they get a good draw, they can end up, making to like the quarterfinals. I don't believe it's semifinals. I'll be honest. I don't think that. I wouldn't be against it, obviously.
I mean, like I said, like I'd love deep down in my soul as a soccer fan and as an American, you feel me? It would feel great to see that happen. Even though like deep down in the back of my head it's not true. I'd love to see that happen, but I give them knockout stages at the most, honestly.
So
yeah.
But like you guys are saying, come 2026, I feel like this year is also the indicator of what we do in 2026. I definitely agree with that.
1,000%. Because they're all going to be in the prime of their careers at that age. It's going to be in the USA. And as long as they can play some pretty stuff right now, it's great. I will also say, I'm looking at the bracket right now. We have the harder side of it. So unless you think that they can put away France, Denmark, Belgium, Morocco, Croatia, Portugal, Uruguay, like,
okay, out of all the teams
semifinals, they have to.
Truthfully, I have our money on. I have my money on the United States beating Portugal at this moment.
I would, because then they in 2018 we drew them, or no, not that we was about to win, and then Ronaldo would hit some like crazy cross, and I think it was
Wasn't
90.
It was
90. No, matter of fact, no, it was Quaresma.
I was about to say like he was super far, like he had to be about 90 yards.
Oh, that joint was crazy,
and that solidified him in my eyes, like becoming a soccer fan, transferring from like basketball and football, my main sports. Seeing that literally like solidified Ronaldo as an idol in my eyes. Like, holy.
That World Cup, that's different. And we're gonna talk about Ronaldo a little bit later. But speaking of the GOAT in the sport,
100%.
Ronaldo got Lionel Messi. And the other day, Argentina, they were on the wrong side of history in one of the biggest upsets in the World Cup history. Like, talk about Argentina, they won 35, or they were unbeaten in 35 games. 35 games. It was gonna be 36, and they was going to tie
No,
Italy's
it was a
record.
36 game win streak.
It was
36
It was
game win streak.
it was 36.
36.
It was 36, and then if they won against Saudi Arabia, they would have tied Italy for the record. So again, if you're watching this right now, you're a basketball fan. This is like the Warriors at their peak powers losing to like the Orlando Magic, who's trying to tank for Victor Wanyama. Like it was like it's like that right there. So this was definitely like a huge upset. I'm gonna bring it to Malachi and this one. What was your reaction? I know you told me before we got on air, you was like, I woke up to this. I woke up to this too. So how you feel about that? That upset, Saudi Arabia beating Argentina.
So the way I found out about it is that my boy is from Brazil, is a Brazil fanatic, and they have a big rivalry with Argentina. So like I found out about it because he was just posting like Messi memes. I was like, what's going on? Like, what you talking about? And I saw 2-1. I was like, that can't be real. But my first reaction, honestly, and I said it earlier, was that it gave me the Redeem Team USA versus Puerto Rico vibes, where like they came in there, and in the documentary, you have Melo saying like, we don't even know these dudes' names, and they're over here running us. Like honestly,
yeah,
I wouldn't say that Argentina got ran though. What at all? If you look at any of the stats, if you watch the game, they connected way more passes. They had way more opportunities created, and they honestly played good. It was just like this new offsides VAR system was like really against them. And I personally have been watching soccer a long time. Don't even really know. I think that if you watch 3 out of the 4 offsides in that half, it was like the shoulder and his feet was here, but Messi leaned forward a little bit, and they got caught offsides in there. It happened 2 other times. One of them was very obviously offsides. You can't even be mad about that. But my honest impression was that like they couldn't bounce back. They couldn't recover against, the adversity. I think that when things stopped going their way, after Messi's put away, he almost had a brace in the first half, and I got called back. They never response for that. And you have a very slept on Saudi Arabia squad. And I brought it up earlier that people are a little bit surprised. They look at the group and like, oh yeah, that's a walk in the park. Like Saudi Arabia is going to get farmed in that group stage. Saudi Arabia has a real argument to be one of the best Asian squads, given that their Asian qualifying rounds, they finished top of the table in a really hard group, which not other tables really did. Like, Japan had an easier group compared to them for sure, and same with South Korea. So it's like Saudi Arabia is a good team. And then the World Cup, these small countries get superpowers, especially once they get a goal going. Like, don't get them started after that. And I love that for the World Cup. And especially you have a giant of Argentina with Lionel Messi. Just Lionel Messi, you don't even say anything else after that. But then you have a 36 win streak, Argentina. You have bets. I think it was like 80% win to like 20% Saudi Arabia, like something crazy like that. Like, and you're down 1-0 and 1-0 to a controversial PK, if that, like to face, adversity for Saudi Arabia and bounce back and like keep that level of excitement. I think it's amazing for them. I will say that right now, that goal is goal of the tournament for me at the moment. That was insane. That's one of my dream goals is cut outside and hit that upper night. That's amazing. And that's my impression. But the last thing I'll say about this is that like I'm very happy that as a Messi fan that Argentina got this loss out of the way. They lost to arguably the worst group or the worst team in their group. You get all the jitters out. People were talking about Messi in the final, how it's gonna be this 1,000 games, gonna World Cup final, all this stuff. 36 win streak, et cetera, et cetera. Get that out of the way. You got to win games because you're playing against teams that want to beat you. And the World Cup is not easy. And this World Cup in Qatar especially is not easy because of how weird it is for so many different reasons. So I think it's time that you get that out of the way, you focus up. And, I still have them finishing on top of their table, and I still have them going to the final, in my honest opinion. But I think that was a beautiful display by Saudi Arabia, and I'm glad that they put things, put the world on notice. And I really hope that they keep on trying, honestly. Because I like it when things get mixed up a little bit, for sure.
I like what you said about, these smaller countries, like they get superpowers coming to the World Cup. And like, it really, again, like we can speak on this as people that like, actually like play like the game. Like when like I've been in situations where like the team that I was playing with, like in high school, we were like superior than the other team by like miles. But like if you get one goal, like that momentum, like the momentum in soccer is like unmatched to any other sport. Like I just feel
100%.
like one goal, one error from the defense that gets a goal or creates opportunity, for the other team, like that can really change the whole dynamic of the game. Like you talk about in NBA, it's a game of runs. You might go on like a 10-0 run, 15-0 run, but you can
Right.
still come back from that. And
Right.
and theoretically, you can come back from it in soccer, but it's much, much harder to when there's momentum going against you to then
Right.
try and score when you got the whole entire stadium chanting their name.
Yeah.
And you
No.
already know soccer fans is
No,
like
soccer
soccer fans
fans
is
are
crazy. It's
the best
crazy.
fans, the most energetic, the most passionate, the most angry,
Exactly.
happy fans in the universe. And this is coming
Yeah.
from a Philadelphia fan, you and I both. We know
Oh,
the environment, and I tell everyone this all the time. I like you have to come to a soccer game. It is the best.
yeah. They don't. It's people talk about Sixers fans. Oh, y'all are bad. Y'all are real passionate. All this. I'm like, we are nothing compared to soccer fans. How these countries in Asia, Africa,
Right.
Europe, how they support their countries. Not at all. But I think going back to Argentina, and their loss, I do think that they saw, a team in Saudi Arabia and they were just like, oh, this is going to be a cakewalk, especially one at the 10-minute mark and Messi scored a penalty kick. It was like, okay, this is going to be, one of those games like England versus Iran, like like Spain today, putting up 7 goals. So it's like, I feel like they thought it was going to be a rout. And Saudi Arabia, credit to them, they stand packed, they didn't panic. They kept their game plan, and once they got their opportunity, they converted. And it's been times that I play FIFA, and it's been times that I had 70% of possession. I had 10 shots on goal, 10 shots on target, and I lose 2-1. And the other guy has 2 shots on target and has 2 goals. So ultimately, a game of soccer, game of football, you have to convert on your opportunities that you make. Talk
Right.
about that screamer. That's Saudi Arabia scored in the second half. Like that's something, that's something that that's an opportunity that they ended up converting on, and that's the difference. I think people talk about, again, I'm relating this back to like basketball. It's like a make or miss league. Same with soccer. Like, if Saudi Arabia doesn't hit that screamer, you talking about something totally different. But they had
100%.
that momentum, and they converted once the opportunity was presented in front of them. I don't think it's over for Argentina. Obviously, it's much more pressure on them. But I think it's going to be interesting to see how they respond in their group. Obviously, like you said, they lost to the group. They lost to the team that's probably like the worst in their group. I think their game against Mexico is going to be a tough one, but I think against Poland too, even though Poland does have Robert Lewandowski, I still think that they'll be able to fairly beat those teams, and make it to the knockout rounds. But this could have been like maybe a blessing in disguise to be like, no, y'all got to wake up, because y'all get to the knockout rounds, you might face Senegal, Ecuador, a
Netherlands.
Costa Rica. You never know like who could come out into the knockout stages, and so if you aren't prepared, if you underestimating your competition, you could very well, be on the wrong side of history, which is what they were on yesterday on Tuesday. So now I want to, dial it back to today and talk about upsets. There's been a couple of upsets in the World Cup already, with Germany being upset by Japan 2-1. And so I want you, Malachi, just give me your thoughts on how that game went. Give me your analysis on how Japan was able to be successful and knock off a powerhouse in Germany.
I loved it. I loved every moment of it for the Japan squad. I know that a lot of people who don't watch soccer won't know, and a lot of people who watch soccer but like don't maybe not follow internationally don't know that Japan is probably the most consistent, one of the most consistent countries in these international competitions. Like they're always somehow managed to get to where they need to be. But I was touching this a little bit earlier. The German squad this year, I think, is very exciting and it's very interesting because it is a combination of absolute veterans, people from the World Cup winning squad in 2014, and people who were like 7 at that age. So like it's very crazy to see this like combination of people here. But I think that already the noise around it is around the a little bit early development in this very fresh looking squad. I don't think that they played bad. I love Jamal Musiala. I think that he was a beast, and he almost scored what may have been the goal of the tournament, cutting inside with his little like body feints. I love that. But I think that they just didn't capitalize on their opportunities. I feel like when they had so many times to score and they didn't, and I feel like Neuer kept them in the game many times because like you may not see it on the possession sheet, but like Japan had a lot of close opportunities on target and got saved last second for it. So I don't think they played bad, but I just don't think that they punched it in. I think they were doing a little bit too much. They played very comfortably. Um, had a lot of possession, connected a lot of passes, had a lot of opportunities created. But you got to give 1,000% credit to the goalie,
Yes.
who went nuts. And a lot of people on Twitter are already going to talk about how like he needs to give up that PK. But like honestly, you can't even blame him. He was in his element. Like I don't know if you saw it, but like when he tried to put his body in that position to save that goal. That was he has that in that already. The guy was already open, and you gotta do what you gotta do. It could have been a red card, but it's fine. So
Mhm.
I love it. I love that for Japan. I love the last goal as well. That was a very hard goal to do as a soccer player to cut at that angle and shoot right side, top right. Like that's
Oh
insane.
my gosh. Even
Uh,
like that touch of
yes.
ball overhead. And like again, as soccer players, like we know like how like it might look easy to you watching
No.
on TV to get a ball from that height. You drop and the pass was spot on, but was even harder was the touch to keep it because you can touch the ball, it's going to go the other way. And you're like, dang.
Yeah.
And if you touch the ball and it's actually leading in front of you for you to run to it and then dribble and shoot it, like that was just like world class. That was just flat out world class. I mean, and again, you said it from from Asanyo or from Asanyo, the Japan's player, but like you said, Japan still had their chances. They had 12 shots on goal, 4 shots on target. Now Germany did have 75% of the
Yeah.
possession,
Right.
but again, like once Japan their counterattack, like they had a perfect game plan, and this puts them in prime position to get to the knockout rounds. Talk about who they have in their table. They got Spain, they got Costa Rica. All they really got to do is get some is beat Costa Rica and they're in. And they're in. That's really all they gotta do. And they're in. I'm not again because then Spain and Germany, they're gonna cancel themselves out. So all Japan has to do is if they beat Costa Rica, they're in the knockout stages and talk about who would have thought you got Spain, Germany, Costa Rica,
Yeah.
and Japan, and
Yeah.
you have Japan coming out of that. That's probably one of like the hardest groups right there. I think that might
Yeah.
be the group of death, in my opinion.
I that was my group of death, to be honest,
Yeah.
because like I don't even think Costa Rica's that bad of a team, to be
Costa
honest.
Rica's not even bad. Like if you put them on like Group A, they would probably be like you got
Yeah.
Qatar, you got Ecuador, Senegal, and then they'll probably be like the third or maybe like second best team in there. So I mean, you have a very very tough group, and the fact that Japan was able to get that win, it might be an indicator, or we might foresee them putting up some magic in this World Cup. It's been talk about last World Cup with Russia, Croatia. So like, it could be Japan this year, but again, no, they played a phenomenal game. I want to also I didn't get to touch on this. And I'll go back to Lionel Messi real quick. Then we'll talk about, who we have in the finals, who we have winning the whole thing, Golden Boot, all that jazz. But I want to go back to Lionel Messi and him. Do you have Lionel Messi as your GOAT?
100%,
Really?
1,000%. I
Okay.
it's like I think that like I always have. And it's crazy because people will ask me like, who's my favorite soccer player and who's my GOAT? Like, well, no, they ask me my favorite soccer player is, and I always tell them that Messi is the GOAT, but I have players who I have modeled my game after. You know, we grew up together, so like we would be in the backyard trying Neymar moves, try to shoot the Gareth Bale walk up, trying to do all these other things, like whatever. But like Messi, you couldn't really model his game because he's the only one who has that. Like it's a really hard
Yeah,
thing. It's like
yeah.
Messi is my GOAT for sure, and any aspect of it.
And so, I still have you know me,
Yeah.
Cristiano Ronaldo.
I know.
I'm a ride with my guy. But I do think objectively that this is the World Cup. If Argentina can win, if Messi wins, where you'd be like, all right, if Messi wins this, is no debate. Like you can't even as like Ronaldo fanboys, like you can't even like you gotta reserve that spot as the GOAT, as number one best player to ever play with Messi, because that's the only thing that's missing on his resume is a World Cup. So I think it's tremendous pressure on him and Argentina to live up to giving Messi his first World Cup. Maradona won one, Pele won one. Some of the all-time greats, some of the GOATs in past generations, they've won it. And I think it also hurts Messi a little bit, the fact that a guy in Maradona, he actually won it for Argentina. So I think Messi, this is his best chance to win. Yes, they lost to a Saudi Arabia team, but they were coming off 36 games unbeaten streak. Do you think that, I mean, you already have Messi as your GOAT, but like, what will him winning a World Cup do for his legacy, how he's looked at, but not just yourself, but through like just like the football, the soccer community?
I think that so it's really tough. It's not really that tough at all, actually. Well, I've said that makes him the GOAT for sure. I think that I already feel as if he's the GOAT for sure. I think that when you look at his international trophy and his recent Copa America, and you look at Ronaldo's Euros win, which I hated because I'm a France fan.
Yeah.
um, I think that like you look at all the other accolades and side by side, you can still put Messi. Statistically, I don't really like talking about that, but statistically, he's kind of over Ronaldo. So like when you add a World Cup, which is the biggest trophy you can achieve in your soccer career, aside from like a Ballon d'Or, which they have like 4 or 5 of now, like
Yeah.
it kind of makes it, it's not even about him versus Ronaldo. It's him versus the entire soccer world and what has been done. And like, I think the only other people that can do that in that conversation is like Pele and Maradona. So,
And then the thing is, they don't have the statistics club wise like Messi, like just like
not at
flat
all.
out watches all of them. So that's the one edge Pele and Maradona have. But then if Messi wins this, then like we're not gonna be talking about Maradona the same way we talk about Maradona. I
Yeah.
feel like his obviously like the old heads, not even the old heads, but just like soccer fanatics, like they're still gonna appreciate Maradona, all he's done for the sport. But it's gonna be like, we have like a guy in Messi who's better than him, right? The guy that basically did everything that he did and more. That will put Messi on like a whole nother pedestal, to where like he really is untouchable. And I feel like now it's still, I feel like, right, if I'm being objective, I feel like right now, like you talk about, all right, like how many people are saying Messi is the GOAT right now? I'd probably say it's probably like 60%. And I feel like 40% right now is like, I feel like 40% right now is like Ronaldo.
I
And then,
would,
what would you say?
I would argue that and this is me being honest as a Messi fan. This is also me being honest as a Manchester United fan. I would argue that because of the last 2 years specifically, because when you have the Messi to PSG trade, or not trade, but like, you know what I mean? Messi going to PSG, and he's not really doing too well. And like, how people feel about League One and like, nobody thinks that takes really much. Like when you have a talent like Messi or like a Neymar who goes there, you assume that they're just going to stat on these people, whatever. That didn't happen. year one. And then you have a 36-year-old Ronaldo going to the hardest league in the Premier League and a very hard club to play for, Manchester United. And I can say that as being a fan of them. That's not a pretty club to play for whatsoever. Most people that come there do not do well. That's very evident, and it has been. And Ronaldo is balling. Absolutely. Makes team of the year in the Premier League. He's like top scorer for the team, and it's incredible. So like after that, a lot of people were kind of just like, Messi's doing this at 36. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Ronaldo's doing this at 36. Messi's 34, 33, and he's not scoring like Ronaldo is. And Ronaldo's in the harder competition. Even the year before that, when Ronaldo went to Juventus, like he was top scorer in that league too. So, you know what I mean? So like when people over some time, when Barcelona kind of declined on the trophies, I think is when the debate kind of like when you have some Messi haters really happening. Because when Barca stopped winning, that was around the same time that Real Madrid was winning a lot on that. What was it, 3 in a row at the time, or did Ronaldo win 4 in a row, or 4? I think it was 4 in a row.
He done racked up like 3 straight.
They ran that up. He racks it up, goes to Italy, goes crazy over there, and then comes back to England and goes crazy there while Messi was losing in Barca. And then had a crazy situation and was just sad in France. So, like, I think that at that point, the debate was really like 60% Ronaldo, 40% Messi. And as of recently, when you have Messi killing it at PSG this year and Ronaldo's crazy Manchester United tide has come back down to 50-50. Now we're back level. But I think that this is the first time we got back here for those reasons, because of Ronaldo's performance in the Premier League and Messi's, struggles. Now they're back at level playing field. This World Cup will probably settle that. Whatever, and I think this World Cup alone will probably settle that. Because next year we don't really know what's happening with Ronaldo right now in the club scene, but like Messi's looking pretty comfortable in that sense. So
we'll see what happens. I think look, I hope. Just as like a soccer fan, like one of them gets a World Cup, because like the storyline would be just like crazy. And like again, we're not gonna maybe I don't see. I'm never gonna count Ronaldo out, but he's 37 right now. 4 years from now, he'll be 41. I mean, he is superhuman, but this probably is his last World Cup. Again, I won't count him out, but I'm pretty sure it's probably gonna be his last World Cup. Talk about Messi, 30, he'll be 39 in 4 years. I'm pretty like he's not gonna be the best player in the world or in that conversation at 39 years old. So this is their best chance. And us as soccer fans deserve to see a show from the GOATs, and we have never had something in any sport. Maybe in tennis, what you have like Roger Federer and
right,
but like and Djokovic, all them. I think that's how you say his name, but you know what I'm talking about. But like in terms of like soccer, you have literally like a Michael Jordan and LeBron James in the same generation, and the craziest part was they're in a rivalry for majority of their careers in Real Madrid and Barcelona, which is like the biggest rivalry in the entire sport. So not only do you have two of the greatest players of all time, same generation, same era, top of the game, same time, and then they're both playing for respective clubs that are, rivals dating way before Messi and Ronaldo was alive, way before me and you were alive, probably like hundreds of years. You can't make this up. It's like a storybook, type of like rivalry and all that. It's kind of like a Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, how got a Celtics Lakers rivalry, then you got two best players on them same teams. So I do think that as soccer community, like we deserve to just get a show from Messi and Ronaldo. And I expect Messi to bounce back. I expect Ronaldo to show up, because when the lights are brightest, he had the best season with Manchester United. And I want to talk about that too, especially as a Man United fan that you are. Mm-hmm. And so let's actually transfer this topic to Portugal. And we got Portugal versus Ghana tomorrow. And how do you feel Portugal will fare in that game? Well, after this, we'll talk about, who we got in like the Switzerland, Uruguay, Brazil game too tomorrow. But again, talk about Portugal first. How do you feel that, Ronaldo and Portugal will fare in that game?
So what I will say is that as someone who used to live in West Africa, I always give West African teams the edge in the World Cup. I don't think they ever go down easy. I don't think Senegal went down easy the other day. I don't think when Nigeria ever plays, they go down easy, even though they're not here right now. And a lot of people don't really know a lot about Ghana because like they haven't made too many appearances recently. But I think that it's going. I have Portugal winning it. I don't think it's going to be an easy game at all. I think that Portugal struggled a little bit in the last friendlies. I know a lot of people don't really put friendlies in. They're like, oh, it's okay, whatever. I value that a lot because I think that's when the connection matters. As a Manchester United fan, we also have Dala and Bruno Fernandes in that team as well. I have faith in that offense connecting against Ghana. But I do think that when you have a heavy favorites like this in the World Cup, I would not be surprised if it's like a really hard fought 2-1, 3-1, if anything. I would see like a 2-1 the entire game, 3-1, 80th minute, the game ends. But it's a really hard one. I think that's probably my prediction for tomorrow. I can stick with that. But I think that we're going to get a really impressive Ghana side tomorrow. But I have 3-1. And I think if Ronaldo scores, he scores a penalty. That's my that's my pick. That's my prediction overall. I can see that happening. I hope that he scores them for his confidence for this World Cup. Because right now, I know the two are not supposed to overlap, but like there's so much club drama that goes on with Ronaldo right now that has been affecting him and his teammates. I don't know if you've seen all of like the press conference interviews that they've been interviewing.
Piers Morgan, all that.
Yeah, like if you see them interviewing his teammates as well, they're like everyone's talking about their interview. Even players who aren't even playing in the Premier League getting asked about Ronaldo and how that affects him and how he affects their squad. And like there's just too much information on that right now, or too much like, unneeded information on that right now. So
isn't Bruno Fernandes? I seen something that like he wasn't trying to talk to Ronaldo. I gotta. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yeah,
they on the same. They're on the same.
They're on the same everything. They're the same everything, right? So like it's that's what I mean. Like it shouldn't overlap, and it kind of can't overlap in the international to club world because like I know it's two different things, but think about like the English squad. They all play in the Premier League. All 6 of the top teams hate each other, and they're forced to play in the same team, right? So like once international break starts, you got to put your differences aside. But I feel like the main difference here is how unauthorized that interview was and how much of a curveball and timing it was because Ronaldo didn't hold back and nobody saw it coming. I didn't know this interview was happening.
Yeah, I know it was going to happen either.
That was a crazy.
And with that too, I want to talk about, Ronaldo leaving Man U. Well, here's what I'll say first, but going back to Portugal, I think that they'll win 3-1 tomorrow. I do think Ronaldo will get a penalty kick goal. And I do think that if he scores another goal, it will be a header. He's still one of the best in the game with his headers and all that, man. So
I think headers and tap-ins is like redirects are crazy.
Oh yeah, he's definitely like changed. That's nothing Ronaldo has done. He's changed his game to fit, his play style now. Before, obviously, younger in his career, he was dribbler. Step over. That was us in the backyard.
That was you.
That was exactly me. That was exactly me. 100 step overs, all that. The Ronaldo chop, all that. But now he's more he can get them tap ins, them headers. And he, if he gets some space, he might give you like a little long shot, 30 yards, 25 yards. But he's really like that clinical finisher, that clinical striker that's going to make those goals count, when he gets those opportunities. But talking about him leaving Man United, again, this reminds me of I'm taking this a lot back to American sports with basketball and football, but it's like the same way how you have guys like James Harden, Anthony Davis, like all these stars using their power, using their status to force their way out of, their situations. That's the same way that Ronaldo's doing now with using his stats, using his fame, using what he has going for him to get what he wants. And he's 37 years old. He not gonna want. He don't want to play for Man United. That's not even in the Champions League. Like I just like he don't want to play for them. So he'll do. And people might not like how he went about it, but clearly it worked because clearly he left. And before they were saying they want to sell him and all this. So like, do you feel like the way that Ronaldo went about that? I guess how do you feel like he went about things and all that? Because again, I feel like it might not have looked professional. It might not have been like the storybook ending to his tenure with Man United after all their history. But I just feel like he is 37 years old. He wants to do. He really wants to compete for a Champions League. And I think that's like top of his priority. Hella competitive. I do think that he should look into being in the MLS. That's a conversation for a whole nother day. But like again, how do you feel like he's handled this? Do you feel like he should want one out of Man United?
So I think that as a Manchester United fan, a very passionate one who is up to date with everything, I think that this is one of those really weird sports situations where it's kind of hard for me to make an American sport analogy. I feel as if like in the NBA, you have players like Kawhi Leonard who are not happy in the situation. You have players like Jimmy Butler. You have players like all the other people who will do whatever they can to get out of the situation. And I think that you could probably help me out with this comparison, but like in this specific scenario, like one thing you can say about Ronaldo is that he has love for the club, and like it was the reason why he came back to Manchester United, knowing that they weren't a top team. If you look at all the other transfers going to Juve, that was a top team for him to be successful, and obviously it didn't end up being a top team while he was there. Second half of his time there, but like he came back to his club, right, and he wanted to do great things with the club, and that was really evident, especially in that first year. The second year, though, in the summer, after we didn't qualify, we didn't finish top of the four, and we had a lot of hype of the new transfers. We had a lot of new players on it, and we didn't, succeed. When that summer hit, already Ronaldo was ready to peace out.
Yeah, he was ready.
Right? And so, which is not good public information. And as a player like Ronaldo, when you won out, because it was, and admittedly, as a Manchester United fan, it was terrible. It was a terrible show that we were doing. We were horrible. It wasn't good for the team. It wasn't good for the club. And already for the club, we don't have to get really into this, but like from the top, the board down is things aren't going well. So now you have Ronaldo who's just putting all this light on what's happening in this club that's burning. So I think that it wouldn't have been that bad if that summer of him wanting to leave and go elsewhere didn't happen. Because of him saying that he wanted to leave, and you have a new manager in Ten Hagen who is very strict and stern as he should be, because those type of coaches like Pep Guardiola, for example, who get their players in check, or like Conte, get the players in check, are the best. He doesn't care if Ronaldo is the best player of all time. He doesn't care if he scored 20 goals last season. He realized that this team needs some reconstruction. He's coming from a very good Ajax squad, and he was like, "You're going to obey this. You're going to play as a team, and we're going to win this way." And unfortunately, like you said earlier, Ronaldo's old play style when he ran isn't what he can do right now. So because of that, we needed some really offensive pressure. We need people that can run, press. We need more than just goals, is what I'm trying to say. Ten Hag was like, you're not the best option right now. On top of the fact you didn't want to be here. So why would I play you when I'm trying to work some talent? You don't want to be here, and you're not even the best. So like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But you're the best. You're the top one of all time. You're not going to hear that and like that. So like rightfully so, it didn't go well. There's a clash of personalities and ego, which is the worst thing that can happen in sport is ego and not being able to put that aside. And you have a very large fan base in Ronaldo and Manchester United, the biggest club in the world, or one of the biggest clubs in the world, that didn't appreciate how it was being treated. So now you have all this noise, and you have a manager who's staying stone cold and not going back on his word. He's like, I have a system, I have a game that I want to play. Ronaldo's not in it. And as a Manchester United fan, I love what Ronaldo did for us, but statistically, you look at the stats, We won 75% of our games without Ronaldo. And the games that we had him, we lost. He didn't need to be there. He shouldn't have been there, and it wasn't working out, and he wasn't happy there. So, like, honestly, me personally, there wasn't any right way for him to handle it. I wouldn't even say he got disrespected, but he's 37 years old. He can do what he wants. He can say he got disrespected, right? But it wasn't working out. So I think that he should have left. I think that it is very respectable that he gave up that 17 million. I think that shows that he loves the club still, and I think that that's the best way you can go about it. I will also say that Tim Hagen handled that Ronaldo drama the best way he could. Because, yeah, when he left, middle of that game, trying to get subbed on against Tottenham, that was a grown man tantrum right there. You don't see that. That was like, it wasn't Antonio Brown, but like, that was some crazy stuff. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think that Ronaldo handled it the best way he could. And I think that Ten Hagen handled it perfectly. And I think that it put light on the board because now the Glazers are trying to sell the club because they got exposed in that interview. So I think it's W's for the chat for Manchester United. I think that we can focus on what we're doing because we have a hard schedule and we're doing well. And I think I wish the best of luck to Ronaldo. No disrespect to him at all, but I think that is a really weird, dramatic time in that world. So
Yeah,
that's my take.
that's a great point. It's gonna be interesting to see where Ronaldo goes because I know that like when he was first trying to won out in the summertime, it was reportedly a lot of like the championship league contenders didn't want him. So and a lot of them they have like younger players. So
Right.
is bringing a guy in Ronaldo who has a big ego. Obviously, is not the same player he once was, but maybe teams are not trying to bring him in, or they weren't trying to bring him at that time because they feel like he would mess up the chemistry of that team. I feel like, and then we're gonna go back into our World Cup predictions and all that after this. But I feel like the team played better because it was chemistry. Chemistry is everything in soccer, and I don't think it was more. It's more so of, oh, Ronaldo has completely dropped off. I think just like his relationship. And I'm not saying you saying this, but I'm saying like hear people like saying like Ronaldo, he like really dropped off a cliff. No, I think the chemistry is the biggest reason why you see Man United play better without him and with him, because I think the players are like, oh, so you want to leave us because we aren't as good and all that. We're gonna show you, that you're missing out on something. So I can respect that, and I can respect Ten Hagen, who's like, I was brought here to be a manager, and I'm not gonna fold or bend just because Ronaldo, is mad about something and all that. So, I can see it from both sides. But I'm rooting for my guy Ronaldo. I really want him to come to the MLS. I'm like, if he comes to the MLS, I'm gonna be that joint's in Colorado, LA, Oregon. I don't care. I'm in that job. I've never seen him play before. I'm there. I'm seeing him.
So the one thing I will say, so there's two things about that. One is that a lot of teams have already came out and said that they don't want him for the same reason. Not has nothing to do with the interview at all. It's just his play style. They were just like, we need players that can run. And I watched Man U games, and it's painful watching Ronaldo play, honestly, because he doesn't run. And he doesn't create on offense like we need him to create. And playing people don't want that. So like you think that he's gonna go to a smaller club. And like when I think of like not smaller clubs, but like different leagues that aren't small at all, like teams like Porto are very good Champions League teams. Not as good as Premier League teams all the time though. Or like Benfica and things like that. But the one team that people talk about is Sporting, which is, his boyhood club. But they're trying to get something going over there. And, they're trying to build something. And like I just don't think that they're gonna want the Ronaldo anything around them.
That's the aura right there. Yeah.
Yeah. But as far as the MLS goes, you can make a whole different podcast episode about this. Honestly, I don't think that's going to happen because he has an open case against him since his last visit in the U.S. and he hasn't been in the U.S. since.
That's it. That is all different conference, a whole nother day. But let's get back. Let's get back into our World Cup predictions. And you already told me. Oh, I think you mentioned your who you got winning the whole thing. But again, tell the people who you got making it to the finals and your pick to, win the whole World Cup.
So off rip, my prediction was Argentina versus Brazil, and I really hate that's a final because a lot of people talking about Ronaldo versus Messi, but like I think that like I'm not even looking at that final. I really look at the Brazil Argentina final, which is actually more of a rivalry than that, just like historically speaking, outside of soccer. Like those countries, have some turmoil for sure. But you have a crazy Brazil squad that's for whatever reason not even being talked about as much because of the Argentina win streak, but an insanely deep squad, probably their deepest squad in years, especially offensively. But don't sleep. They have, I think, two of the best goalkeepers in the Premier League, and Ederson and who's the
Yeah.
Liverpool? Yeah, so they're crazy over there. Allison, yeah, there you go. And then you have Neymar, you have Rafinha, you have Anthony, you have so the list can go on.
Keep
And
going
also
on.
you have the new Qatar rules where you can have 5 subs a game. So now these teams are gonna get punished by Rafinha, Anthony, then you have Neymar subbing on, and then you have like Richarlison. You know what I mean? It's like it just goes on. So I'm very, very excited to see Brazil play. I don't know. I'm not sure they play. They don't play tomorrow, I don't think. But
So with Neymar, it's for people that a lot of people know of Neymar, but maybe a lot of people don't know like um his stats or how he's playing right now. Why would you is he like a regular sub on Brazil? Is
Oh
he
no, no,
start?
I didn't mean to say it like that. He's definitely not a sub, but if they wanted to rest him for load management purposes, they very comfortably could, given the talent in Brazil's squad. And the fact that you have 5 subs is insane. When like subbing off Neymar and then putting in Richarlison or Vinicius Jr., who's insane,
Oh
like
my gosh.
the pressure. That's so. When I read that rule and the new Qatar World Cup listing, like I just felt bad, honestly. Like guarding those people enough, but then guarding like their clones, like they just have that in their gene. They're so fast, they're so technical, so hard to beat, so flashy, so creative, so free. It's hard to play against. So Neymar, I don't think he'll be a sub, but as we know as Neymar fans and like soccer fans, like he is fragile with injuries, and I would hate to see him go out that way. I don't think they need to play him, given that deep of a squad, as much as they need to play him. But I think that he's going to want to play because he's the captain of their squad. So, but I have a Neymar Argentina final, and honestly, I'm more heartbroken. I know that Messi is my goat, or Neymar is my favorite player. Growing up,
Yeah.
2013, watching Santos highlights. That's who you wanted to play like. Barcelona, El Clasico. That's who you wanted to play like 100%. I want Neymar to win a World Cup so bad, but Messi deserves it more. He's been in the game longer. He's the better player, but it sucks. So like, but I have an Argentina 1-0 over Brazil. I know I said that out loud, but
Oh shoot. Oh, that's like a storybook. You got two the biggest rivalries in international soccer, maybe the biggest rivalry in Argentina,
yeah.
Brazil. Definitely is probably the biggest rivalry. But I like that pick. Obviously, I got Brazil. Brazil are the favorites coming into the World Cup. They played their first game tomorrow. For me, I got Brazil going to the final. I like what you said about their depth, and love your point about how, you know, if you want to rest a guy in Neymar, if you want to rest some of their top players, you can do that with the depth they have on their bench. So it's not going to be a considerable drop off, if a drop off at all, with who they have on their bench. But I think I'm gonna have Brazil, and see, I'm torn because I'm gonna just say, all right, we got Brazil, and we got Portugal in it. We got Brazil, and we got Portugal, and it's gonna be 2-2. It's gonna be 2-2 game. It's gonna be a penalty kick shootout, and you know who's gonna send that penalty kick to keep or to put
All right.
Portugal storybook. I promise. If Portugal, see, I'm American, yo. I'm American, born in Cleveland, Ohio, and raised in the USA my whole entire life. True American. If I will be more happy if Portugal if Portugal wins and Ronaldo wins, I will be more happy. I will be more happy.
You know,
More
what's funny
happy.
about that is that people wouldn't understand that just because like we had to grow up as soccer fans and like idolize these people who are not from the US. So like these are our like I feel like I'm French, even though I'm not at all.
Yeah.
Right. But like so I'm happy with but like if USA, people are like, yo, what team do you support? I'm like, yeah, for the what about USA? I'm like, I haven't been that like a diehard, I
Yeah.
haven't cheered to USA, like I haven't anything.
And it wasn't like again, like in soccer, in like any sport, the fans they gravitate towards the players that
Yeah.
that they like the most, and the teams like the most. I wouldn't be a Real Madrid fan if it wasn't for Ronaldo. I wouldn't have been a Juventus fan if it wasn't for Ronaldo. I wouldn't have
No,
been a
1,000%.
Man United fan if it wasn't for Ronaldo. I'm going
Yeah.
everywhere he's gone. I was saying people were not going to be Barcelona fans. I mean, some of them would, but like a lot of them were only Barcelona fans because of Messi. A lot of them were only PSG fans because of Messi right now. So us growing up, we ain't. I mean, aside from Landon Donovan, like who else to be like look up to on the USA squad? Now, what I will say is we have a lot of younger guys, younger people, younger Americans that are looking at this US team, and they're like, oh, like, I can look up to a guy like Christian Pulisic. He looks just like me, or he came up in the club ranks just like me. So I will say that the younger people in the US, they can probably look up to these players more. But for ourselves, when we were growing up in the
Yeah.
backyard doing step over his bridge, I'm looking up to Ronaldo, Neymar, and Messi. And we
Yeah.
really want them to have that, to really like have that spotlight on them and to get their much deserved glory if they end up winning it. More so than like a US team that, definitely gonna support them. But it's like I was not looking up to y'all.
You gotta be honest. I didn't watch a single Clint Dempsey highlight until the 2014 World Cup, and that's because I knew who this man was. I was like,
Yeah.
what's going on? I knew who he was, obviously, but I didn't understand the importance because I cared
Yeah.
so much about what was entertaining at the time, and like they didn't promote U.S. soccer, even though we were in the World Cup. Like there was
Nah.
there was nothing to be excited for. So, I mean, there was, you can say that, but we weren't watching that. Like,
Nah.
soccer players who play the game weren't watching that because we were
Nah.
modeling our games after these magicians who were playing in
Yes.
Sweden, who were playing in Italy, who were playing in England. So, like,
And then you naturally gravitate towards those players, towards the countries that they support. But yeah, going back to my prediction, I'm going with my heart more so than my head. But I'm gonna have Portugal going out. They won the Euros, so I got that going for me. And I still love their. I stay. They still got one of the most talented squads. Portugal does. But I think that it's due. It's due for Ronaldo to get his World Cup. If he gets that,
so
oh man, oh that's gonna be different.
what
Oh
I will say though about that to the point where, like, especially the it's due part, is that I think it is due for the players, right? It's
yeah,
due for Ronaldo, but is it due for Portugal? Because it's due for Argentina. They made it to the final in 2014. You know what I mean?
yeah. I see what you're saying.
And it's due for Brazil because they always make it to the end and never capitalize.
Yeah. I
So
also that's a good point. So you have, is Portugal really ready to, you know, get to that, that next level?
yeah,
Again,
100%.
uh I will say I know it's like them winning the Euros. I will say this. Portugal winning the Euros is more impressive to me than Argentina winning Copa America. A hundred,
I mean,
100%. 100%. Who Argentina got to play
I
against? For
mean,
Brazil, that's
no,
it.
100%. I think
Colombia,
that
like
that's an overarching debate though, is like Europe versus Central America and like all
yeah,
that kind of stuff. So like I I feel like we can talk about that forever, but
Yeah.
all I'm gonna say is that I agree with you. I just really hate that he beat me, and like it hurt. We watched that together. I remember
Oh
that.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, we def did.
We watched that together. I was so sick, but I will say that 2016 Euros put. I'm not gonna say put Portugal on the map, but put Portugal in the conversation because like for the longest it was Germany, for the longest it was Spain. It was you know what I mean. It's
France.
like now you have Portugal in here, and like they're a serious problem. Like they're slept on.
Mm-hmm.
And since then, they've only been gotten better. They've only gotten more talent to assist them, younger guys as well. And like Ronaldo staying in shape that entire time for his country. So it's like, you know.
I
But
like
that
it.
being said, even though they win the Euros, I don't think them as a team is due for a World Cup. I
Mm-hmm.
think Ronaldo as a career is 1000% due for a World Cup. But I gotta give it like because here's what I was gonna say earlier. If Argentina and you're gonna hate me for this, but if Argentina and Portugal both don't make it to the finals, right? Whatever happens, and we look at Messi and Ronaldo's career as it is right now, Messi still has an international trophy in Copa America, even though it's supposed to be the same as the Euros.
Mm.
Has a World Cup final appearance that Ronaldo does not have.
So I will say with that. I mean, yeah, we can go on and on about that. On and on about that. But I would like to talk about. We gave our predictions. Malachi he has Brazil and France. Oh no, you said France, right?
France is my team, but they're scaring me right now. Honestly, I don't care about the
Oh, for real?
Australia win. So I have Argentina, Brazil. Yeah.
Argentina, Brazil. Okay, yeah, Argentina, Brazil. I got Brazil, and Portugal with Portugal coming out on top with the golden is the golden boot. The
Yeah.
best player of the tournament. Now can get into second best. No, let's go with best player in the tournament. I know who you best say, but who you think is going to be best player in the tournament?
Well, who do you think I'm gonna say? Honestly.
Then you're going to say Lionel Messi.
All right. All right. All right. You're not wrong. What I was gonna say is that I think that Messi will have the most goals this tournament, but I don't want that to distract that from. I feel as if there's gonna be some. I don't know who it's gonna be, but someone on either Spain, um, Germany, depending on how far they go. They have a young fire squad. Not even young, but like Sergei Gnabry is insane. Leroy Sané is insane. Like they
Yeah.
are crazy. Yeah, those dudes are crazy. Mbappe is insane. Ousmane Dembele is crazy. Griezmann is a veteran. He's not crazy, but Giroud is consistent. It's the slowest soccer player I've ever seen to score a goal, but that guy's crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
he's tied to Thierry Henry, which is crazy. But so I think Messi will have the most goals. I think he will get the golden boot. I don't necessarily know if that means that he'll be the best in the tournament. Actually, I lied. I think he'll be the best in the tournament. I don't know if he'll have the most goals though. But I like that dude. What's his name on Ecuador who popped off. He scored the brace against Qatar.
On Ecuador.
Yeah, on Ecuador.
What's his name? Let me look this up real quick.
With the V, yeah. I think that I like his confidence. I like the calm down celebration. That alone made me like, yo, this guy's gonna be a demon. If Ecuador makes it out that group, yeah, I can
Yeah.
see he's a problem.
No, what's his name? Everybody pull his John up right now. Right now,
Yeah.
because they did just beat Qatar. What happened in this game? Yeah, it was a what is the name of this play? I know exactly who you're talking about too.
Yeah.
He scored a brace for oh Valencia.
Yeah.
Valencia yep.
That's
Mhm.
his name. Yeah. That's what I wanted to say. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So you got Messi as
I yeah. And
mhm.
then Golden Glove though. I want Mexico to go far. So okay, I can or how do you say his name? Memo, the Mexican goalkeeper, the GOAT, the you
I
know
know
what
you're
I'm talking
talking
about.
about.
Yeah,
He the
the
one that
GOAT.
got the hair.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
GOAT.
oh, he was
The
tough. No, he tough.
GOAT. I don't say what you want about anyone. That guy is a GOAT. World
Yeah,
Cup demon. And I like this Japan keeper, dude. I like what he did today. Like, that was crazy.
Yeah,
So I want either them two to win it, but I feel like this is so interesting because like I don't know if you looked at all the listings, but so many like Spain not bringing in De Gea, like that's a biased
that's
statement, but like
crazy. That's crazy.
there's so many teams that went with keepers that we've never seen before. Netherlands, right? Like I don't even so many new keepers, so I'm excited, and they've all shown out so far. So
No, definitely, definitely. I think for and I think goalkeeper tip, you're gonna see a couple of guys be like, I don't know him. What's his name? And they're gonna end up being, household names after this World Cup. But I think that ultimately, in terms of going boot, or like, who's gonna be the best player in the tournament, I know last World Cup it went to Luka Modric, I believe. He had not the golden boot, but like the best player in the tournament. I believe it went to him for all he did in Croatia. And I do think that in terms of I think a midfielder um has the best chance to get like the best player to get like that best. Oh, my fault. It's the golden ball. That's what it is. It's the golden ball. That's best player. Golden boot. That's who scores the most. But I do think that in terms of golden ball, best player, I think I'll go to a midfielder. Talk about midfielders. Uh, obviously Luka Modric is in there. I'm trying to think on top of my head. Wait, so Thiago, so he was a sub, right? He wasn't really. He's not like a regular starter.
so what talking about Thiago for Spain? I
Yeah,
think that so when we were younger, he was a sub. When he got transferred to Bayern, he became a magician. But he's a
yeah.
little bit older now. And now when he came to Liverpool position too, but he's a little bit older and he's been like a little bit injury prone.
Mm.
Um, so they made the decision to leave that man off altogether. like they're like, nah, we're cool. And like he's arguably like top 10, top 8, really best midfielders in the world.
Yep.
And you would think that that's what you'd need. So yeah, they dropped him. I was really confused about that.
No,
But
definitely. I think I'll say my best player of the tournament. I think I'll go to Kevin De Bruyne. Just what he has his impact um on the game. I don't think anybody had like he has like the ability to like had the most impact on the game. I believe, and best pass in the game. I don't think it's. I frankly, I don't think it's close. And I still think that a team in Belgium that they'll get to the semifinals, and if they have a long run, Kevin De Bruyne will be the guy that gets best player in the tournament. I think that the Golden Boot, who scores the most, I think Kylian Mbappe, that he uh starts right where he left off. Obviously, Olivier Giroud. I mean, again, one of the slowest guys. He always seems to score goals, have that nose for a goal. But I'll stick with Mbappe. Even like talk about the times where he folded under pressure. And I think he'll use that when he missed that penalty and all that. Was that in the Euros, I believe, or but no, he ended up missing that penalty. I think he'll be able to to use his losses to be able to, uh, propel him to that status of that Messi, Ronaldo, that like top player in the world. Even if you don't want to say like Ronaldo, like just that like that aura being like, all right, you up there with those guys. I think after this World Cup, like Mbappe will really like solidify himself as that, second or third, maybe best player in the world. We gonna see, but I'll have him win the Golden Boot. Obviously, guy like Harry Kane. And we have to account for the guys that take penalty kicks because a lot of them will get a lot of the goals just
yeah,
because they'll get the penalty kicks. So obviously watch out for a guy in Harry Kane. Uh I'm trying to think of who else on top of my head. I mean, heck, if Brazil went, I mean, you both have Brazil going far. If they, Neymar can end up, getting that
Yeah.
mix too.
What I'll say though is that like going if I'm just like picking each thing that you just listed, if Belgium makes it far, I'm having a guy like Lukaku winning Golden Boot just because he has De Bruyne passing the ball.
Mm.
If I'm looking at France has guys like Dembele, and they still connected really well yesterday, but France is missing a lot in their midfield right now, which is why I'm scared as a French fan. They have a very very new young center midfield presence specifically. They still have the same crazy squad on the outside, but they lost Christian Nkunku, like and injuries. No Pogba, no Conte. They just lost Benzema, who would have been my Golden Boot winner, honestly, because that guy has been crazy. But Mbappe is the only person who can create a lot, and like he has the best finishing capabilities on that team. So I can still agree with you. So if France makes it far, Mbappe is going to be the one to score the most goals for sure. Brazil, though, however, I think they have so many players stylistically who are the literally copy and paste exact same that I think they're just gonna be passing goals to each other, man. Like I think that's
Yeah.
just gonna. I don't think it's gonna be Neymar putting it up. I don't think it's gonna be what I mean. I think they're just gonna score and put on some crazy display of skill.
Mm-hmm. No, that's a
So
fact. And that Brazil squad, I mean, that not it's a reason why they the favorites. Obviously, uh, I do think they'll go far. But I don't think like the favorite will. I don't think the favorite will win. But I do think that Brazil, man, like I, they gonna show tomorrow. They're gonna show tomorrow why they're the favorites. They gonna show tomorrow, but I still think that
yeah,
uh I hope they again I'm the teams I want to win. I hope Portugal wins. I wouldn't be mad if Brazil wins. I'm a Ronaldo fan. So I mean, if it would be good, it would be great for content if Argentina won. But as a Ronaldo fan,
I think
I would not want Messi to get a World Cup and then
it's
and
great.
end the
That's the
GOAT
thing.
debate.
Yeah. I think to go to the content point, it's great for all of that. Like it's great for like if you're talking about those three teams, like that's why it's the World Cup. The World Cup is content specifically. Like it's great for all of that. If Saudi Arabia wins, you don't think that's content? That's
Oh
crazy.
yeah, definitely.
Right? Like
That's
um
wild.
yeah, so I think I agree with you, but it's that's why it sucks because like there's no right answer. Like I hate that Brazil and Argentina are playing each other because I want both of them to win a World Cup super bad,
Yeah,
and it bothers me. It bothers me so much, like because you want to see that storyline start for a lot of players. You want Neymar to get a World Cup. You want Messi's 1,000th game would be the World Cup final. That is written in the stars.
it
If they
is.
make his 1,000th game would be the World Cup final.
Oh no. They about to win it. They about
It
to
is
win it.
written
They,
in the stars. My man's gonna
oh,
get fouled at like the 30-yard mark, the same way he got fouled against Germany in the final. Then you're gonna hit
hey,
the
yo.
guy and be like,
Hey, hey, yo. I can already envision it. Oh, shoot. Oh, okay, yo, Messi, you really can't mess this up. Like, you really gotta win. Like, it really is no excuse. You're 1,000th game. Your 1,000th game. You can
Yep.
literally win the World Cup on your 1,000th game for international and club soccer, and get your first ever World Cup. I mean, you can't even. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't write it better. You can't write it better. Now let's get into the last part of the show. Let's get into our predictions for tomorrow's group
Um,
stage games. And just start off first. Switzerland versus Cameroon. Who you got?
ha. I was talking about this at work the other day. I always Switzerland's crazy. I always I'm picking Switzerland. I'm taking a 2-1 Switzerland. And honestly, what I'm really taking is a 3-2 Switzerland. I don't think Cameroon's going to back off. I think Cameroon has a few players that actually made it to the Prem this year that are doing pretty well.
Yeah.
They also have the guy in the union for them. Um,
Who? Switzerland?
no, Cameroon.
Who's
Our right back
Johan? No, not you.
in Bazu, what's his name?
I can look at this squad right now.
Look
Let
at
me
this
see.
right now. I'm pretty confident that they have
Bias. What's his name?
um it's like MBAIZO.
Oh, I see. Oh, it's MB. Oh, I cannot find his name. I'm looking at the
Yeah,
I'm looking at the I'm looking at the roster though. I'm looking at their roster, so I'm with you.
yeah, he's there. He's there.
Mm.
Oliver Mbizo Olivia.
Oh, it's talking about
This guy
Enzo.
right here.
It's talking about Enzo Bose.
Yeah,
Yeah, defender.
yeah, yeah. He's tough. That's
So
our
you,
boy. I have faith in him. I have
yeah,
faith in him. He's tough. So like, yeah, but I always think that Switzerland's a hard team to put past, bro. Them and Denmark, for whatever reason, they're always the same to me.
yeah.
So I have Switzerland 3-2 Maroon. Um, that's my pick. I don't know who's scoring that. I'm gonna watch it. Is that an earlier game tomorrow? Is that the
I
first one?
believe I believe it's one of like the first games tomorrow. Um,
Okay.
let me just look at like the schedule for tomorrow's games. But I'll have I'll have Cameroon pull off the W. I just think, you know, a lot of these African teams, they got something to prove, bro. Like you would be overlooking them. Like uh so I don't have too much thought into it, but I think that oh yeah, their game is at 5 a.m. So you got 5
Yeah.
a.m. Cameroon versus Switzerland. Yeah, I'll go with Cameroon a 2-1 win um over Switzerland. I think that they'll end up coming back. I think Switzerland will get the first goal and then they end up leveling it and then get that winning goal with like maybe like 70 minutes or 80 minutes left in the game or 80
Okay.
minutes after whistle starts. Get into Uruguay versus South Korea. Obviously, we got Edson Cavani, Luis Suarez, their pair of strikers. You know, at the end of their primes. I think I'll go with my prediction first. I think that Uruguay beats South Korea pretty comfortably. Um, I'll give them 3-1. I'll give them 3-1 in this one.
Yeah, you didn't even name the best player on that team right now. Your boy from Madrid, Federico Valverde. That
Yeah.
guy's crazy right now.
Mm-hmm.
That guy's insane.
On the midfield.
Yeah, he's crazy. They still have Darwin Nunez. I know people were hating on Darwin Nunez because of his transition to his Liverpool season this year. That guy for Uruguay is going to be crazy. I love Cavani. It's one of my favorite athletes, favorite soccer players. And I still have faith in Luis Suarez despite him not being in heavy competition in the club scene. So I agree. I think that we have a pretty comfortable. I would see a 3-0, honestly. I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't be surprised if that wasn't the case. I think that I see a 3-0, 2-0 W. I see Darwin Nunez scoring. I see Valverde assisting, having at least 2 assists. And then, like, I can even see Suarez on the score sheet, but yeah.
Definitely. Now we're going to again, yeah, I got Uruguay as well. I said that. Now at 11 a.m. got Portugal versus Ghana. I think we already talked about this a little bit earlier, but
Yeah.
like yeah, I think this will definitely be definitely like a tougher game than it might look from the opposing eye. Like people think, oh, you know, Portugal should win this, you know, pretty easily. But I think it'll definitely be like a tough game. I think for some reason it's gonna be like guys gonna give up a penalty early in the game where Ronaldo gets on the scoreboard early on, and then this Portugal just rides on that momentum for the rest of the game. So I'm gonna say I'll say for this 3-0. 3-0
Mm,
Portugal. But it's not but the score is not gonna be reflective
okay.
of the game at all.
Yeah, I feel like honestly, the reason why I don't think it'll be 3-0 is because like I think that Portugal has a better midfield and they have the better overall team on paper. And I think that we've seen this before where like you have like Germany versus Japan, where like on like the score sheet they lost 2-1. Statistically, they connected way more passes and had 80% of the possession, 70% of the possession. So
Yeah.
like you're watching the game, you don't see that, right? But looking at the score, we don't see that. I think that since Portugal has a better team, better midfield, if they're able to win 3-0, they're not going to be scoring those off counters because they're the better team. So I think that if they win 3-0, that's a comfortable game for them.
Mm.
I really imagine a penalty. I agree with you, an early penalty, 1-0, and I see them getting hit hard right after that, 1-1, and we have a tied level game. I see a 2-1, maybe the 60th minute, but then they're struggling again because, like, something one of my coaches told me is that, like, you're most vulnerable after you get scored on.
Yes.
And we have a hungry team like this, dude, like in the World Cup where everyone's hungry nonstop, and a Cameroonian team that's very fast and physical and passionate. Like, they're not going to let up easily. So I see 2-1. And then finally, they, like, after a hard fought of just pressure, Portugal falling apart a little bit, playing sloppy, they finish the counter at like the 85th minute or something like that. And then it's 3-1.
And they win.
And they win. Portugal wins 3-1.
Portugal wins. All right.
Yeah.
Oh, and I see that. Because then 2-1, got Ghana pushing all their guys up forward, trying to get that last goal, and then with that, you're gonna have some guys in your defense that is left out, and you can definitely be hit with a counter. I like that. Now for the last game of tomorrow, we got Brazil versus Serbia. I cannot wait. This is my favorite game will definitely be Ronaldo, but once Brazil plays too, like between now like 11 to like 4 like 3:30 4 p.m. like nobody talk to me, like this is straight
No,
Portugal and Brazil.
I have the Peacock subscription, bro. I have that up there.
Oh, you do? Oh, you got the Peacock? Oh, so you can watch like every game and all that.
I've been watching. I've just had it up the entire time. My dual monitor, I'm sitting there.
Oh yeah, I'm about to do that. I'm about to get that right after this episode. I'm about to get that joint right now. But how do you think? Well, I'll say first, I think Brazil handles Serbia pretty handily. I'll give them a 4-1 victory. I think. What's the how do you say the guy's name? It starts with a V. It's Real Madrid.
Vinicius
Yeah, he's going to get a goal, and he's going to get an assist. I like Fabinho getting an assist as well. I think that it'll be a comfortable win. Brazil might take their foot off the gas early on, late on in the game, maybe when it's like 3-0, 4-0 and let up a goal. But I'll say the score is 4-1. But Brazil, puts their stamp in their World Cup, chances in game one, and handle Serbia pretty well. How you think?
What I'm gonna say is that this is probably gonna be one of the more difficult games in the group stages. You can't overlook the Eastern European teams ever. Think about Russia. Think about like like any of the teams from that area of the world, bro. You can't. There are gritty, mountain raised environment.
Yeah,
right? And they don't
Yeah.
care who you are, ever. Like they don't care how fancy your footwork is. You're gonna get a studs up tackle, and you're
Oh, heck yeah.
they don't care, bro. I don't see it being comfortable at all for them. I don't think that this game will display Brazil's full offensive capability. I think it will definitely show Brazil's grittiness. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a 3-1 win. I can see 4-1, honestly. But I can see 4-1 after getting going back and forth. By 1,000% some struggles happening. And I could be wrong, but I just feel like, no matter who they have on paper, you can't overlook these Eastern European squads. And I feel like you can say that about most countries that are in the World Cup right now. Like, you can't look over Asian squads, African squads, what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But that's why it's the World Cup. You can't.
So who you got? So who was your result, or what do you think the result?
I think 4-1. I think I agree with the Vinicius goal and assist. I have Fabinho goal. I don't have an assist for him.
Okay.
I see a header for him. I see him very excited about that header. Uh, and then I honestly have a Richarlison.
Oh yeah,
Great.
he's freaking nice.
I have him scoring too. I think that's the score sheet. I don't
That
know why I have Richarlison. I just think that like he's I don't know. I feel like when people think about Brazil right now, they think about Neymar, but when people think about hope in Brazil, they think about Richarlison and like his rise to the scene immediately in the Premier League. Like he's just, just like very, he's teary eyed scoring in a regular season game. You know what I mean? Like I
yeah,
love that for him for sure. So
definitely, definitely. Well, I think the last game I want to talk about before this episode concludes is England versus USA. So that'll be on Friday. Uh, how you feel about this game? How you feel? How you feel USA gonna do?
honestly, honestly, contrary to common belief, I think that they are going to do way better than we expect. I don't think they're going to win, but I think that they are pissed about that Wales game and the result of it. I like when I think about this USA squad, when I think about Brendan Harrison, when I think about Tyler Adams, when I think about Pulisic and all these other people. I think of young individuals who are honestly my age, so I know how they feel if I was in a position, who are very hungry and very ready to show the world what they can do. And England is this behemoth in front of them. And I think that the beauty of the World Cup is when you have these mismatches, quote unquote, like you can really, you can play like you have nothing to lose and everything to gain. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
that's the beauty of it. Um, I think that we may not win, but I don't see us get. I see Matt Turner going crazy. I see some crazy opportunities, and I think that as long as they're able to run, like we talked about earlier, we will be fine. But if we get gas, we are going to get worked by Phil Foden. We're going to get worked by Sterling. We're going to get like Grealish. Like, as long as we're able to make them uncomfortable and make them, because I think the difference maker in this, honestly, is that you have such a composed English squad. They can set the tone, right? Like, their midfield is crazy. So like as long as we're able to disrupt their game and play fast, we can do that.
yeah.
Or we can compete, right? The other option is that we play very defense heavy and somehow convert on counters. That's not going to
I don't
happen
like
against
that.
such
I
a
don't like
crazy
that.
squad.
It's gonna be a time, and I played this. I've been in situations where like I play for Friends Central. We play a team like the Hill School. We play like a Harvard School for boys, and we're defending the whole entire time. I hate that. I hate that mindset because like eventually you're gonna get tired. You're gonna get worn out. You're gonna like it's going you are gonna get exposed. So I would like for USA to trust themselves and be like, all right, like realists, like do like are y'all as talented as England? No. But is this the same USA team from past years that couldn't that like talent wise like wasn't on par with anybody at all? No, they have a lot of talent on their team. They have a guy in Christian Pulisic who has played many, many games in the Premier League, and a lot of these guys on England, they're either his teammates or he either like has played with them every single weekend. And so he'll be a guy that if the U.S. has success against England, it's going to be because Christian Pulisic is having himself a day against England in that game, and he'll be the true indicator on whether or not I think this USA team ends up pulling it out against England. But yeah, I don't think they'll win. But I do think that they'll keep it close. They'll keep it close. But I think that come like end of the game, it's gonna be a late goal from I think Raheem Sterling. He might just run up the right side of the field, cut in, go ahead and smash the top left. Again, I don't want that to happen. Don't want that to happen at all. But I do think that USA's fitness is something that is problem with them, and they'll play a great game. We'll go into like the first half being like, let's go. We look real good. And then come second half, we might have some missteps and fall apart. So I'll give us I think we'll lose 2-0. But yeah, I pray I'm wrong, and I just wish USA won that first game because I disagree with you a little bit on like them playing freely because I think they could have played way more freely against England if they won against Wales because then it's like okay we don't need any points against England because we already got our points against Wales. But I think now it's a little bit more pressure on them because if they don't get any points against England, then that means their future is going to be in Wales' hands because they'll have to either depend on Wales to, either tie or lose to England team, and then they're gonna have to win against Iran. So it puts much more pressure on them. But again, I think they'll have a great first half, but come second half, that's when England just wears down USA and ends up getting the W. But Malachi, appreciate you for hopping on. We definitely we gotta run this back, World Cup and obviously going into end of this month into December. Gotta have you on again, like around like the knockout rounds or maybe for USA's like next game maybe against like Iran or something like that. But we'll definitely keep you in the loop. For all of y'all, be sure to follow my boy on Instagram. I'm gonna have the link in the description. Go hit my man up and all that. But yeah, it's my brother right here. D, he had to handle some stuff earlier on in the day, but appreciate him for coming on too. And any last comments as we close out?
No, thank you for having me. I've been watching this for a while, and like it's amazing because like this is what we talk about when we're off camera too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, it's good that we can do this on the stage that we have right now. So I love that, and I love that it's the World Cup. Period, right? And I think I had a lot of fun for sure.
Yeah.
So thank you for having me. It's honestly been amazing.
Definitely. Well, again, y'all, this is Real Talking Miles Johnson, where y'all know I always keep it real.
Sure.
Yeah, y'all.